Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my last Airbender episode 4 video, The Warriors of Kyoshi. It's the weekend, and it wouldn't be the weekend without cartoons, so naturally I thought it was time to post a new one. There's also a really cool Avatar-related event coming up. So Gallery Nucleus on March 7th is going to be doing a Nickelodeon-sponsored Legend of Korra Last Airbender art exhibit. Mike and Brian are going to be there. Tickets are $5 at the door. You don't have to make any reservations, but you can't buy tickets in advance. You just have to show up, get in line, and it's first come, first serve. The art's going to be there till March 21st, so even if you can't make it the night that Mike and Brian are going to be there, you can still go see the artwork. The last day that it's open, Mike and Brian are also doing a Q&A panel. That's also first come, first serve. It's in the Los Angeles area, so if you're within driving distance of Gallery Nucleus, I'd recommend you check it out. It's going to be one of the rare opportunities to actually meet Mike and Brian outside of a convention. Okay, so moving on to episode 4 business. I thought I'd mention just a few behind the scenes facts, like a few Easter eggs about the episode up front. The fighting style of the Kyoshi Warriors is based on ninjutsu, taking your opponent's force and using it against them. In case you're not Beatles fans or you're not old enough to remember it, the scene where Aang is running around in and out of frame, the montage, is based on Hard Day's Night, the music video that the Beatles made. Even though it sounds a little silly, I'll say careful for spoilers from the episode. So moving into top 5 moments. Number 5, welcome to Kyoshi Island. So if you look at the map of the Avatar world, Kyoshi Island is right here. It's part of the Earth Kingdom. Its main utility is being a fishing port. It was the place Avatar Kyoshi was born, but it's not named Kyoshi Island just because she was born there. The Kuvira, so to speak, of her time was named Chin the Conqueror. He was trying to conquer the Earth Kingdom too. In order to stop him, Kyoshi earthbended the peninsula of her hometown away from the mainland, and thus it became Kyoshi Island. It's a good example of how powerful the Avatar can be. It's like Korra eating the full blast from the Spirit Vine gun. You have bending, you have super bending, you have super awesome benders like Azula, and then you have the god level bending of the Avatar. It's a little unclear why Aang wanted to stop over. He's starting to lose focus, sees shiny objects, gets distracted very easily. So you could argue that he stopped because he wanted to ride the giant koi. He just remembers them from his time. Or you could argue that it's an Avatar thing, and his previous life as Avatar Kyoshi is what's drawing him to the island unconsciously. Sometimes there are those moments in episodes where Aang's like, I think I remember this from a previous life, but I bet that goes on all the time unconsciously. You always wonder what goes on in people's heads. It's a little easier to spell that out in a comic book or a book with like a thought bubble. Whenever it's animated like this, whenever it's visual on screen, you just kind of have to fill their head with thoughts that you think that they're thinking. So I do imagine when Aang sees a lot of places, he's thinking about them through the context of his previous lives, even if he's not realizing it. Number 4, meet the Kyoshi Warriors. As the name implies, the Kyoshi Warriors were an order formed by Avatar Kyoshi. She saw some women being mistreated by men, so she formed the order as a response to that. It all went down way before she separated the peninsula from the mainland, so it was before it became Kyoshi Island. The reason they continue to dress like her is just to honor her memory. And you didn't need any special background to join them. You could come from any discipline. You could be a fisherwoman, you could be a housewife, anything. Even though there's a lot of missing data on all the avatars, I'd say of all the ones that we do know about, Avatar Kyoshi was the most proactive. She formed the Kyoshi Warriors, created Kyoshi Island, and she formed the Dai Li, even though that kind of went sideways. We don't blame her for that. Number 3, meet Suki, newest member of Team Avatar, unofficially. I wouldn't say Suki officially joined Team Avatar till much later. This was kind of like her soft introduction to the group. I know everyone was really bummed that she didn't appear in Legend of Korra, but just look at the comics. That's what the comics are for. Next to Katara, she's like the next strong female to be introduced in the series. Even though this is Last Airbender, so it's mostly focused on Aang, male protagonist, all the women are still really strong. I felt kind of bad for Sokka in this episode because they kind of use him to show how women can be that strong. Gender roles, generally a really touchy subject, no matter how you address it. Obviously, they take the comedy route, so Sokka totally works well in that context, and I totally get why they had to make him sound so dumb. Of all the cringeworthy scenes, though, I'd say the one where he first goes to try and train with them, like, hey, I'm looking to work out, probably my favorite. And if you are a little put off by how Sokka goes so nuts in this episode, I mean, you just have to remember, they're like middle school age, and it's usually weirder when a middle school age kid, like someone who's 11, 12, 13, is really mature. That's weird. Usually you expect them to be really inappropriate. They don't really get into it in this episode, but Kyoshi Warriors, one of their big skills is chi blocking, which totally carried forward into Legend of Korra. Obviously, there are people all over the world that practice chi blocking, so you get Amon's chi blockers and their awesome costumes. I can't imagine that they stole that from the Kyoshi Warriors. Number 2, Surfer Aang rides the unagi. This is almost like another beach episode inside of an episode. It does feel like there were a lot of those in Avatar. Like it wouldn't be a new season or a new book of Avatar without them being on the beach doing something fun. The first time in the episode, the unagi is just teased. You don't even know it's called the unagi. It's just a giant fish with a giant fin sticking out, so you're just left to wonder what's underneath the surface. And Aang running across the water, trying to get away, just like Korra in Book 3, trying to run from the sand shark. If you thought about it, he could run on water if he was airbending his feet, just like a little bit. Although in this context, it looks a little bit more like Roadrunner Bugs Bunny territory. And later in the episode, I totally believe that the Avatar could form some sort of low-level spiritual connection with other animals, so I don't think it's too crazy that he could get the unagi to breathe water all over the town. It's just one of those things that they don't have a lot of time to explain in a 22-minute episode. And my number one moment, Aang learns what happens when you derp your mission as the Avatar. There is a price to be paid for stepping off the path. Aang doesn't realize what's going on until he flies over the town and sees it burning. But yeah, when you get distracted, this is what happens. It's a good reminder of why this series didn't do too many side episodes. Almost the entire Kyoshi Island episode is them getting sidetracked. It can be a little frustrating, especially when you know what the end point of the series is and you know what Aang has to do. It's like, why are you spending all this time over here when you need to go learn how to waterbend? But it's really these like sidetrack moments where they just argue about the relationshipy stuff, or Aang tries to impress Katara, where their personalities come out. So you do need these. It helps the audience, it helps us form connections with the characters, just because they're very human moments. They're things that we would totally do. I would totally try to ride a giant koi to impress a girl. I mean, who wouldn't? Zuko's barely in the episode, he's just there to remind you that there's this other plot going on. But all in all, some great fight scenes, great firebender versus Kyoshi Warrior scenes. It's a good way to show off what good warriors they are. Yes, Zuko is able to take them down pretty easily, but you have to remember, of all the young characters, he's one of the few that's been extensively trained in combat. Aang is very powerful, but he is not trained in combat the way Zuko has. And the funny thing is that the episode ends with Aang getting the big payoff. You know, he gets the affection from Katara that he craves so much. That was probably the whole reason for him stopping, is that he just wanted that hug from Katara. Yes, Kyoshi Island is a really important place with some really important characters that they needed to introduce, so this episode was necessary for them to go there. But do you think that if Aang was able to get that hug from Katara, if he would have thought twice about stopping? I do feel like half the crazy stuff that Aang does to get attention is just to get attention from Katara, not everyone else. Just the girl that he has a super duper crush on. And I forgot to mention it during the beginning part, but another really cool thing in this episode is use of Avatar maps. It might sound funny, but all the funny cartoony maps in Legend of Korra are meant to honor the really cartoony maps of Last Airbender. I imagine Mike and Brian envisioned like really complex, amazing looking maps, but it ended up looking like this. So that when it came time to animate Legend of Korra, it was just like, hey, why don't we have fun with this and make it look like Last Airbender? Favorite map sequence from either of the series though is from Korra Book 3, whenever they're first looking for all the airbenders in the Earth Kingdom. I think the only real thumbs down I had in the episode was Sokka being such a derp, but I understand why they did it that way. The funny thing when you think about it, in the beginning he has that really cringeworthy line where he says, men are more for the fighting, is that later in the episode he obviously ends up looking like a pretty woman. If there's any other fun stuff about the episode that you guys really love, be sure to write it in the comments. I'll post my episode 5 video next week, so be sure to subscribe to get that too. I'm kind of happy that Game of Thrones is coming back because it's a little more fantasy, Avatar's a little more fantasy, so the genres match up. So we can have like cartoons on Saturdays with Legend of Korra, Last Airbender, and then on Sundays we can have dragons with HBO Game of Thrones stuff. In case you haven't seen it, you can actually click here for the Game of Thrones trailer, and you can click here for all my other Last Airbender videos. Thank you so much for watching, so let's all high five. I'll see you guys tomorrow.